Hey guys, I hope you're doing okay. Today I want to shout out Liz. You know yourself, Liz. Thank you so much for your support and feedback. Liz is a patron of the podcast. You can also be a patron and help keep the podcast going by going to patreon.com/kukubatajunkie. There are some benefits you get by supporting the podcast, so go to patreon.com/kukubatajunkie today. The link will also be in the show notes. Again, thank you, Liz. On the podcast today, I have a counseling psychologist. We talk about what therapy is and what it's not. And guys, I get schooled on how to refer to people with mental health illnesses and disorders. You will hear my cringe-worthy moment shortly. You can literally hear me cringe, but I know better now. This episode is a phone call, so it will sound like a phone call. And something else, I didn't realize that when I was recording, the mic picked up my scribbling. I was actually cringing as I did the editing. I tried to remove as much of it as possible, but apologies for that. Hello there, and welcome to the Cocoa Butter Junkie podcast. I'm Michelle, and this is my podcast. This is a podcast on the everyday reflections and experiences of Kenyan woman. It is my examination of life living through mental health issues, grief, growing up, aka kicking and screaming into adulthood, the experiences of being a woman in Kenya, making friends as an adult, struggles with faith, and a bunch of other topics. Thank you for listening.
My name is Teresa Mothoni. I am a counseling psychologist, a mental health activist, a mental health advocate, a student, a mother, a wife, and an extrovert, if I may.
Okay.
I am an extrovert here. Yes.
Okay. So if we could just get right into it. So why did you decide to become a psychologist?
I've been in banking, forex trading for the past 10 years. But along the way, something happened that was very close to me that made me want to learn more about mental illness. I am a psychologist who specializes in mental illness because there are so many fields of psychology. There is forensic, there is career counseling. There are so many diverse specializations when it comes to psychology. I chose to specialize in mental illness because it was a very personal journey for me in regards to having someone close to me being diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and I really wanted to figure out why it was. What happens when someone has bipolar? How do you manage it? How do you treat it? And that's how my journey began. So I decided to go back to school in 2015, late 2015, 2016 there, to now start my bachelor's in psychology. I had to start with a diploma to just get the basics, because you can't just jump straight to bachelor's. There are so many things that you will miss. That if you start with a diploma, I'm saying this for the sake of people who out there would want to pursue psychology as a career. It's best to start with a diploma so that you get the basics and then climb back to your bachelor's and master's and PhD. So it was someone close to me being diagnosed with bipolar disorder that made me want to really understand it, the illness, manage it and treat it, and coping mechanisms and everything about it. And as I learned more, my curiosity became more, and that's how I found my life purpose, because it really belonged with me. I felt that I belonged with it. And yes.
So how
That's how my journey began.
How are they doing, the person who was diagnosed?
Oh, wonderfully. They are coping very well. We go a very long time without episodes. And bipolar and so many mental illnesses are very manageable with treatment, and by treatment I mean medication and therapy. And sometimes patients can even go without medication, but they will need therapy to constantly keep them in check, learn about self-awareness, their triggers, their coping mechanisms, what their maladaptive coping mechanisms are. Yeah. So it can get to a point where a patient might not need medication, but they would still need therapy to just live a normal life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
a normal and functional life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So bipolar people can be functional.
Not just bipolar. No, we don't call them bipolar people. They are just people like us who happen to have bipolar. It's like saying diabetic people. It's not the diabetes that defines them. They are a whole human being past who happen to have a condition. It's the same with malaria. It's the same with any
illness,
any physical illness that you might have. Yeah, it is not what defines the person. A person is a person first, and then they can have an existing illness. It does not define the person. And yes, it is very, very possible to have a functional, normal life, family life, spiritual life, social life, when you live with a mental illness. All you need to do is really become self-aware, know your triggers, what caused this mental illness, because there are always underlying issues that lead someone to get there. To have a mental, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just occur. So once a person has figured out why they suffer the mental illness, what their triggers are, what their maladaptive coping mechanisms are, change the coping mechanisms into positive coping mechanisms, have a strong support system, learn everything they need to do about themselves. There is nothing that will be different from someone with a mental illness to someone who has never suffered a mental illness.
Okay, that was a moment of learning for me. I cringed when you said they're not bipolar people.
They're not bipolar people. It's like when you meet someone who lives with a disability, you don't say a disabled person. You say a person with a disability. They are a person first. The disability wouldn't exist if the person didn't exist. So you give them that identity that they deserve. The identity of a person. They are a person with a personality, with so many aspects in them. And it is not our weaknesses that define us. It is our strengths. And just by virtue of being a person, a human, that is already a strength, regardless of what follows after that. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you love about being a therapist?
Everything. Everything. I love being able to help people. As I said before, I am an extrovert, and as an extrovert, I realized that I have the ability to make people feel very close to me, open up really fast, become very warm around me. People who are even introverts feel very comfortable around me. And I realized that if I could channel this into something better, into something more positive, then I wouldn't just be a vibrant person. I'd be a person who brings about healing, who catalyzes the healing process. I'm just a catalyst. I am not the healing process. I am a catalyst to someone's healing journey. And that is what I love most about being a psychologist. And being able to give someone the assurance that it can get better, that it is not your weaknesses that define you, it is your strengths and what you can do. Just reminding people of how powerful their thought processes are, reminding them that life is a choice you make every day, to be happy, to be sad, to feel however you want to feel. It's a decision and a choice. There might be circumstances where we have no control over how happy or how sad we feel at that moment due to life itself. But you can always turn that around. These sad, dark moments do not have to be your life. You can turn that around, and just giving people that assurance and teaching people about mental health, the importance of stress management, the importance of emotional intelligence, the importance of physical exercise, the importance of spirituality in their life. Just being able to teach people this and actually seeing people take this and use it to change their lives and the lives of their loved ones and their families, it is just some sort of fulfillment that I've never been able to get anywhere else. So it is, mental health is my life purpose, and I love everything about it. There are dark moments though, but it comes with a job description, na tunasonga mbele regardless.
Okay. So if you would define therapy, how would you define it as?
It's called psychotherapy. Psychotherapy is a form of talk therapy with a professional. So when you and your girls are sitting over glasses of wine and talking about how your boyfriends broke your hearts and how you went to Malibu and had the time of your life, but something wrong happened and you start crying, that is not therapy. Therapy is a relationship between a client and a trained, experienced professional where you come with your problems. We, together, define what those problems are, why they are that way. We come up with a treatment model, treatment intervention, whether it's going to be medication and psychotherapy, or medication for a while and then we start with psychotherapy until the client is able to be independent psychologically and emotionally by themselves. So it is a form of talk therapy between a client and a professionally trained psychotherapist. A psychotherapist is now someone who's studied either counseling psychology or medical psychology, depending on the field now. Therapy is the session now we have, is the talk I have between myself and the client. Mental health is your mental state. Is it good or is it bad? It's just like defining physical health. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So mental health can either be normal, it can either be bad, or it can either be good. When it's good, we say you're able to manage your problems without your problems overwhelming you. When it's bad, it means that your problems have become unmanageable, and so you've adopted bad coping mechanisms for your problems, like drinking, addiction, behavioral issues. Then when you've adopted maladaptive behaviors to cope with your problems, then we say you have a mental health problem. A mental illness is an illness that affects your cognitive and behavior. But when we say cognitive, we are talking about your thoughts. A mental illness is an illness that affects your thoughts, in that most of your thoughts are negative. Okay? And a mental illness can go as mild as having stress, where you start being irritable, you start being stressed up, you start being unreasonable, you start being moody, or it can go as far as being psychotic, hallucinating and hearing voices, what we call delusions. So it depends. There is this funny phrase that people use that everybody has a mental illness. It's just that the degree varies, and that is very evident when people are drunk. Then you see a side of them that you would we've all been there, that you wouldn't see. So it's really the degree of coping with your problems and how it affects your overall life that determines whether you have a mental health problem or you're good.
Okay.
All right.
So let's say I think I need therapy. Where do I start?
Well, you can start with me. We there are so many places you can get help. So many places you can get help. Online, I have an organization called Growth Catalyst, where we deal specifically with mental health issues. And when I say mental health issues, it does not necessarily mean that you're going crazy is when you're looking for us. Sometimes even just simple things like being stuck in life, feeling like you're not moving forward, you're stagnated. That can be a mental health problem in that it's affecting your behavior. You're not moving as well as you should. You're stagnated. It does not have to be something extreme for you to look for a specialist in mental health. I have an organization called Growth Catalyst. You can find us on Instagram on the same, on Facebook on the same, and my office is in Zion Mall.
Okay.
Most importantly, I have a podcast on Anchor called Wazo, and my details are there. Someone can easily access me there. If someone does not feel that they are comfortable talking to me, because therapy is something very personal and very, very private, someone might feel ish about coming to me. We do referral services. Do not suffer alone. We do referral services. We work with a wide range of therapists worldwide. So wherever you are, we are able to connect you, no questions asked, to a therapist of your choice.
Okay.
So it's as simple as texting me on my WhatsApp and telling me, hey, I need a recommendation for a good therapist, a man or a woman this age. Because some people sometimes want an older therapist. Some people feel like an older therapist would not understand them, so they need someone younger they can relate to. So if you're not comfortable talking to the therapist that is accessible to you, you can always ask for that therapist to give you a referral.
Okay.
Okay. Another thing is that private sessions can be very expensive.
Yeah.
I charge 1,000 an hour, and that is one of the cheapest rates you can get anywhere. And it can go, and this is because I'm really passionate about this, and I really want to reach out to as many people as possible.
Okay.
But if someone cannot afford that 1,000, we also have referrals for other places that are cheaper, especially public hospitals. A place like MTRH, they offer a session for 400, and the services are still as good. Yes, for 400 shillings. All you need to do is go, open a file. If you have an NHIF card, it's even easier on you. Then all you have to pay is the 400 for a session. Then they book you for the clinics once a week, I think, or sometimes twice a month. In Nairobi, what is this hospital called? Madare. They have very good counselors there, qualified, experienced. It's just that people have this perception of therapy that it's crazy people who go for therapy. Crazy people don't go for therapy. Crazy people are first of all, there are no crazy people. It's people who are very self-aware that go for therapy. They know, I am not okay. This is not me. This is not who I am. This is not what defines me. I need help. And they're strong and courageous enough to go for that help. And they do get better. So it is not crazy people that go for therapy. It is very, very brave people. Because to be able to go to someone and open up and be vulnerable and start your healing process, it takes a lot of courage for that to occur, and that brings about change, and change can be very, very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable, and people are not ready and willing to deal with uncomfortable things. So therapy is a very courageous step. People who are mentally very ill normally start with medication. Like if you find someone who's hallucinating, someone who's hearing voices, normally we start with medication. These are medications that are meant to stabilize your mood, to bring you back to a bit of yourself. And then now the therapist comes in after you've already calmed down kidogo, and you can talk about what now has led you to that point. So for anyone who cannot afford private sessions, kindly do not feel like all hope is lost. Go to MTRH in Eldoret. And the reason I keep talking about MTRH is that their mental health facility is really good. In terms of Kwanza outpatient services, you will get medication there at a very affordable price. You will get access to a psychiatrist at a very affordable price. For example, if you go to see a psychiatrist for a diagnosis or a prescription, or when your mental illness is a bit too tough on you, then the average cost for a psychiatrist in Eldoret private is 2,000, 3,000 there.
Yeah.
But if you go to MTRH, you open that file for 300, you get access to a psychiatrist. Yes, utapanga laini, but you will queue, but you will get the help you need and you will have saved money in the end. So never underestimate the help that you can get in public hospitals. And if you go to a public hospital and are not able to get help, and you need help and you don't have money, talk to us.
Do people have misconceptions when they start therapy? Like, what are the top 3-4 misconceptions that people have when they start therapy?
The biggest misconception is that, one, your therapist is going to tell on your problems. The moment you walk into a therapy session, I am legally bound by law to not disclose what you just said there. Unless you're a danger to yourself, as in you're extremely suicidal, in which case I will need your permission to discuss with someone you feel comfortable discussing this with, so that they can be your support system. Or, unless you come to me and you confess that you're intending to commit a crime. A crime like terrorism, you know, or like you're hurting a minor, like a pedophile or someone like that, in which case I would need to involve someone else. But before I even involve someone else, we always have supervision. When it comes to counseling, we always have supervision. Like, I always have to have someone superior to me, someone who's practiced for longer, someone who's mentoring me. And I would, before I even report to anyone, I would still need to consult with them and ask them, how do I go about it? Any other thing apart from you being a danger, an extreme danger to yourself, or you being a terrorist, or you committing crimes against the rights of minors, then it is confidential. I am bound by law, and there's a contract before we even begin sessions. There's a contract we both sign, and you get your copy, and I keep my copy. In which case, you can go to a court of law and say, I am suing this one for breaching the contract of confidentiality. So the moment you walk into a counseling session, whatever you say there is very confidential. 2, people assume that a therapist have a solution to all your problems. We don't. We are mortals. We are humans. Okay? It's work. It's work for us. But it's work that we are very, very passionate about. We will help you figure out what your problems are, where you're stuck. We will give you coping mechanisms to deal with your problems. But what we will not do is force you to follow these coping mechanisms, because there are people who will come to therapy and still they are not willing to really work on themselves. The change comes from within the client. The therapist is just a catalyst, a safe space to help you start the process of changing yourself. But you will find that most clients who come to us already have a solution to their problems. They just need to feel heard. They just need to be told, this is how you do this. This is the right way to do it. But we cannot enforce it on you. And we cannot give you advice on your life. We cannot tell you, hey, if it was me, I wouldn't do that. No, we are very professional. You are the one to change your life. What we do is give you the coping mechanisms, the skills, the techniques, the diagnosis. We tell you, we explain your behavior to you. Like if you're drinking too much, we tell you you're drinking too much because from what you have said, it is A, B, C, D that is leading you to drink as a coping mechanism. Okay? We bring you back to your problem, help you see it clearer, then you decide to change it. You decide to start changing pole. So a therapist cannot solve your problems. You have to solve them yourself. They just help you with the skills and techniques that you need to do it. Yes.
Is there any other misconception that people have?
Mostly with the society. There's a lot of stigma about therapy. A lot of people think that you have to be very psychotic or beyond help to come for therapy. That is not the case. Even us therapists have to go for therapy.
Yeah.
You know, because every day is a challenge. Every day brings with it a new challenge. So, and sometimes you just need someone to listen to you without judgment, because in therapy there is no judgment. Without being interrupted, you will be heard, completely heard, and to just get a fresh perspective on things, a fresh professional perspective on things. So therapy is not for people with mental illness only. Therapy is for everyone.
Okay.
It's just like going to a dentist. You don't go to a dentist when you have a toothache. Sometimes you just go for checkup, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So you've actually preempted 2 questions I had for you. The first one was, do you get therapy yourself, and should everyone be in therapy? But I guess you've answered those questions.
I cannot answer in terms of everyone going to therapy, but it's highly recommended.
Okay.
Even just for fun, just go one day, go and see where you are, because we don't have everything figured out. We really don't. You might think you have everything figured out, but you don't. With therapists, we have something called debriefing, where I have to go to my supervisor, especially if I have if I have sessions consecutively for a week, I would need to go and offload to someone.
Okay.
And they have someone they go and offload to. So it's a cycle, so that nobody is carrying that heaviness alone. Yeah.
So in the beginning, you mentioned there are dark moments in a psychologist's life. Yes. At what point do you think it gets too dark for you so that you have to go get therapy?
Being self-aware, I know when a case is too intense for me. And sometimes I can go from a case to debriefing the following day. And sometimes I can even have cases for a month and not go for debriefing because they're not heavy on me. So it depends on how I feel after a case.
Okay.
And if it affects my functionality, my perspective, my professionalism. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has a patient ever reminded you of an issue you are dealing with?
All the time.
Okay.
I'm human. At the end of the day, I am human. And this is why we need supervision. And this is why you cannot be like a superhero. Being a therapist does not mean you're a superhero. You have to constantly be very aware of yourself, your weaknesses and your strengths. And when we go into therapy, we go with a lot of empathy, with a lot of unconditional empathy, you know, and it's very, very easy to start relating to a client. And these are the moments where you have to really bring in your professionalism, you know, especially if I'm dealing with minors and being a mother myself, it's very easy to relate to what they would probably be going through if that was the case. And in these cases, if I feel that I am taking that client's problem and relating it to myself too much, if I cannot apply what I've been taught in school to apply, if I cannot apply professionalism, if I cannot be effective as a therapist, it is my duty as a therapist to refer this client to someone who is better equipped to help the client. Because the therapy is not about the therapist, it's about the client. It is always about the client. And so if it gets to a point where I feel that my emotions are getting in the way of my professionalism. It is my responsibility as a therapist to bring in another therapist that I feel would be more helpful and more effective to a client.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if I go to a therapist and I feel like I don't click with them? What happens? Do I see somebody else?
Yes. Yes, because you are entitled to the help you need. You are entitled to getting the help you need, the professional help you need. It is the responsibility of the therapist to refer you if you ask for a referral. But you can ask politely that I would like to explore another therapist.
Okay.
I would like to explore my therapy journey with another therapist. Do you have any referral? And we are trained to refer people. It is never personal. As I said before, when you come to therapy, it is about the client. It is about you. It is not about me as a therapist. So if my client is not comfortable with me, then I have the responsibility to refer them.
What if I go to a therapist and then they start talking about another client? Should I be worried?
You should be worried.
Okay.
You should really, really be worried because there are many things that a therapist should never do. They should never talk about another client to you. Even as an example, it is not professional.
Okay.
It breaks the client's confidence in the therapist because now the client will wonder, if I live here, will they talk about me as well? That is a bad sign. And also, the therapist should never make the therapy about themselves. For example, if you are going through a bad breakup, maybe, or abuse, and you start telling me, my spouse does this, he does this, and I start telling you, even my spouse, he does this, then I'm not being effective. I am not being an effective therapist, and you should request for another therapist.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a therapist, are you able to tell when a client is telling you what you need to hear?
Yes.
Okay.
I am trained to deal with that.
Okay.
This is why we go to school for all these years that we go to school. Also, clients can also be manipulative in therapy. So we also know that. And this is why referral is very, very important. If I feel that I am not helping the clients as best as they need to be helped, it is my duty as a therapist to refer them.
Okay.
Yes.
At what point do people get on medication, or would you refer them to see like a psychiatrist after they've been seeing you for a while?
Mostly with chronic depression. If you've not been able to, if you've been getting minimal sleep, in cases of insomnia, like you're only sleeping 3 hours in 24 hours, you're only sleeping for 3 hours, and it is not 3 hours of good sleep, then you need medication. If you are suicidal, we have to start with medicine. Or I refer you, this is where now, let's just say, cases where I refer someone to a psychiatrist. Extreme insomnia or hypersomnia where someone sleeps throughout. Suicidal thoughts. Psychosis where they've lost touch with reality. Like they are not sure of what is real, what is not. Hallucinations. Delusions where they are hearing voices and sounds, like voices telling them to do something, like a voice telling someone to... Like there was this case of a woman who, on TV some time back, the woman who killed her kids, she was hearing the voice of her estranged husband telling her to kill the kids. And when she killed the first one, she said that the voice of her husband in her head was very happy and encouraged her to do the same with the other kids. That is pure delusions, like hearing voices. And these voices are so clear, it's impossible to tell whether they are real or not. Then that person needs a psychiatrist.
Okay.
Yeah. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. A lot of people confuse a psychiatrist and a psychologist. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor who's gone to med school for 6 years, then specialized another, I think, 2 years in psychiatry.
Okay.
Yes. A psychologist is a trained professional who is only trained in talk therapy and kidogo medication, but not, we are able to diagnose, but in complex cases we have to work with a psychiatrist. It is always best that when it gets to a severe mental illness, a person starts with a psychiatrist, gets their prescription, then they come to us to now deal with the behavioral and the cognitive issues that are bothering the client. The psychiatrist deals with the medication and the diagnosis, and if there are MRIs to be done, if there are physical examinations to be done, toxicology reports. That is the psychiatrist dealing with those. Then as we talk, we deal with the talk therapy. We talk about your problems, coping mechanisms, how you've been coping, how you should be coping. We dig, we talk until the person is able to look at their problems and have power over them, as opposed to the other way around. Okay. Yeah.
So at what point do you consider a client able to be independent mentally? I think you mentioned that in the beginning.
Yes. When they are no longer using maladaptive coping mechanisms. Maladaptive coping mechanisms are negative coping mechanisms. Basically, when someone is able to function properly without negative coping mechanisms, then we can say they are independent. Challenges will always be there, but if someone is not coping with these challenges negatively, if these challenges are not overpowering the person, if these challenges are not making the person suicidal, depressed, hopeless, if they are able to manage their challenges and problems without using bad mechanisms or getting into depression, without their moods being affected, without their thinking being affected, without their behavior being affected, without their finances being affected, then we can say that the person is mentally stable. Okay. They are able to manage their problems and challenges.
Okay. So you as a psychologist will tell them now, I don't think you need therapy as much, or you can stop coming, or how would you handle that?
Yes, therapy sessions have a limit. There are extreme cases where someone would be in therapy for life, but those are very extreme cases, and these are very rare mental illnesses. Like those intense mental illnesses, like multiple personalities, like sometimes schizophrenia. But there are people who have schizophrenia that have been able to manage their lives properly with minimal supervision, like with therapy maybe once a month. Yeah. But if it's normal problems, a therapist who is effective should be able to see some change in their clients. And if this change is not occurring, then there is something wrong somewhere, and the client needs to be referred to another therapist. Okay. Yeah. So like a normal basic session should be a minimum of 5 sessions, a maximum of 20. Unless we are talking about now that long-term therapy, which we call now psychosocial support, where you just give the client psychological support to deal with their social life. And this can happen even once a month. Okay. So even when we say it's for life, it's not like for life every day. Yeah, it could be like 12 times in a year. Okay. Yeah. If someone comes to you as a friend, and for everyone who's listening, if someone comes, especially during this pandemic, if someone comes to you with a problem, try not to interrupt them when they're talking. Try not to take their problem and personalize it and then give it back to them. For example, I lost my job, I'm not doing very well, I'm in debt, then instead of listening, you jump in and say, even me, I don't know what to say, my business is not doing well, blah, blah, blah. That person has not felt heard. They came to you because they wanted someone to listen. And most people don't know this, but mostly when people are talking about their problems, they already have solutions to those problems. In very rare instances, do people feel like blocked. But the moment you let someone speak out their problems, as they speak, solutions are coming to them. When they're done speaking and you can see that they're a bit calm, try to find 2-3 encouraging words that you can use on them instead of making the problem about yourself. I don't know if you're getting me.
Yeah, I am.
Or if you don't know what to say to that person, you can simply ask this one phrase. How do you need me to help you? How can I come through for you?
Okay.
Then they will tell you the help that they need.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
It's like, because sometimes, especially us Africans, and I'm owning this as an African myself, a traditional one for that matter, because I was brought up very traditionally. I think we most of us were. We tend to help people from how we want to help them instead of how they need to be helped. And the only way to figure out how someone needs help is to ask them, how do you need my help? How do I come through for you? Then if you're in a position to help that way, fine. If you're not, tell them, I am not in a position to help you this way right now, but I will be here if you need to talk. If you need to, I will be here.
Okay.
And most importantly, if someone comes to you in confidence, do not tell. Do not tell.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So how is your 2020 going?
My 2020, the past, hey, it's not been easy on anyone. But I'm one of the lucky few that have managed to keep my job. I thank God for that every day. And it's a very big blessing for me. And because my husband was not working for the better part of the beginning of the year. So I'm very, very grateful that at least one of us was working. Mentally, it had a toll on everyone. The fear about COVID-19. I am a mother. I have 3 kids and 2 nephews living with me. So there is that constant fear that they might be home, locked down, and then I come with corona from town, bring it home. So there's that natural fear, but I was able to talk to my supervisor, and I have a very good support system, like a very, very good support system. And but the past 2 months, a lot of burnout. I haven't been able to record on my podcast for a while, but I am working towards starting again on this next week. Okay. It is extremely important to know when to take a break from your life even and the demands of life, and I do that a lot. It can come across as selfish sometimes, like when I lock myself up and I retreat into my safe space, but it is extremely important for my mental health. Overall, I thank God that we've survived, that we've managed, and I pray to everyone who's going through hard times during this COVID, focus on surviving one particular day. Okay. Don't focus on 2021 because everybody's life was affected. I was supposed to do a lot this year. A lot that I won't even mention. But it happened as it happened, beyond our control. If you're alive, if you're healthy, if you have food on your table, a roof over your head, regardless of what is happening around you, you are okay. Focus on the small blessings that you have, because in the end, when you really think about it, what you call small blessing is what is the biggest blessing, actually. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about your podcast.
My podcast, it's a mental health podcast, and I started it with the intention of creating knowledge, educating about mental health and mental health illnesses, because there's a lot of myths surrounding mental illnesses. Oh, it's witchcraft. Oh, it's generational curses. Oh, she conned someone money, so she went crazy. Oh, he did this to I don't know who, so he went crazy. So just reducing the stigma and demystifying the myths about mental illness by giving people the knowledge that they need when it comes to mental illness. Again, this is Africa. We are very traditional. And as much as mental illness can be genetic, like you can be predisposed genetically to get it, a lot of it is something that can be treated, managed, and completely treated.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's the name of the podcast?
Wazo. It's called Wazo. Means thoughts. And I just wanted to I called it Wazo because it's basically most of our mental illnesses start with a single thought. It's always a single thought. You think about something, it makes you feel bad, very negative. Then when you feel something negative or when you feel sad, you start acting sad. You see how that went?
Yeah.
From a single thought to a feeling to a behavior. So if we can get the wazo, if we can get the thought behind your feeling and the feeling behind your behavior, you're on the right path to recovery.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about Growth Catalyst now?
Yes. Growth Catalyst I am a co-founder actually. I have a founder called Linda. She lives in Sweden. And we came together because we've both been affected by a mental disorder one way or another through our loved ones. And our mission is to inspire healing, to inspire growth through healing from mental illness, and to educate people about mental illness, and to reintegrate people with their families after suffering a mental illness. So we deal a lot with mental illness. We also provide scholarships on a very needy basis to students who are whose lives have been affected one way or another by a mental illness of a parent. Yeah. But our scholarships are based on our funding. If we don't get funding, then it's a bit difficult. We also do a lot of mental health workshops. So if you, at a small fee, of course, if you have someone who wants to learn more about mental illness or hold a workshop on the same or teach their staff about stress and burnout management, we are your people.
Okay.
We also do a lot of charity events where we donate food, we donate clothes, and then when we're doing charity drives, we hold our workshops for free.
Okay.
Yes.
So where can people find you?
I will give them a number where if they need to book a session, then they can use that number.
Okay.
0714 807 447. It is best to send an SMS in case I'm held up somewhere. Then I get back to someone.
Okay.
Yes.
Growth Catalyst is available on social media.
On social media, on Facebook, on Instagram.
Okay.
On Twitter, yes.
Okay.
But it's easier to reach me via SMS.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So do you have any recommendations for my listeners?
If someone is having mostly relationship issues, if they feel very controlled in a relationship, if they feel that they've lost their sense of identity, if they feel something is wrong but they don't know what is wrong exactly, let them go to YouTube and search for Dr. Ramani, like Ramani, Ramani, doctor, on YouTube.
I think I know her.
She talks a lot about narcissistic abuse. A lot of people are in narcissistic relationships and they don't know. Mostly women, but both men and women. So it's not like men are the only ones who are narcissists. Let someone go to that YouTube channel, listen, learn what you can, make your life changes, adapt, do whatever you need to do with that information.
Many thanks, Muhu, for doing this. I would love to have you back sometime. And again, thank you, Liz, for supporting the podcast. You are a star. Guys, please go listen to Muhu's podcast on Wazo. It's available on Anchor. Again, Muhu's number is 0714-807-447 in case you want to book a session with her. As she said, she prefers text. So in case you can't get through to her, just text and she will get back to you. I will link the rest of her info in the show notes. Also, I'd really appreciate your support, guys. So go to patreon.com/CocoButterJunkie to give your support. Thank you. So that's the episode, guys. Thank you for listening. And if you're considering therapy, I hope you start soon. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Bye.